Hi everyone, Dr. Victoria Skirbo here, speaking to you from the Seeds of Transformation Healing Center in Wareham, Massachusetts. And I want to do another installment of the astrology of 2020, kind of like a deep dive, kind of a special report. So brought to you by the Seeds of Transformation Healing Center in Wareham, Massachusetts. Okay, guys, so the next thing I want to talk about is the Pluto Jupiter conjunction that's happening in 2020. Now, we can remember that there was a Pluto Saturn conjunction at the beginning of the year, the 13th of, or is it the 12th? The 12th of January. That occurred at 23 degrees of Capricorn. Now, we do have a lot still in Capricorn. We still have, of course, Pluto will be there until 2024, I think. Saturn is going to be there in Capricorn for more than half of this year, and the South Node is still in Capricorn. That will change in May of this year, and Jupiter, of course, in Capricorn until I think it's December. Yes, December. It moves into Aquarius. Yes. Okay, so we still have all of this Capricorn energy and the conjunctions, of course, between Pluto and Jupiter are occurring in Capricorn, and there are three of them. So this will be a process through 2020, and Jupiter and Pluto are is a different archetypical energy than Saturn and Pluto. Jupiter is the planet of expansion, whereas Saturn is the planet of restriction. Jupiter can only expand as far as Saturn allows it. So Saturn still has the last word when it comes to Saturn and Jupiter stuff. But these conjunctions occur about every 13 years, unlike the Saturn Pluto conjunction, which took 38 years this time, but kind of averages around 36 years. And so this will occur, like every other decade, perhaps. The last time we had a conjunction between these two planets was 2007. It was December 11th, 2007, and these two planets made a conjunction in, I think it was 29 degrees, either 28 or 29 degrees, but I believe it was 29 degrees of Sagittarius. Now, what was significant about that particular cycle was that at that point, Jupiter had moved through Sagittarius for the most of the previous year, because it happened in December. And Jupiter is the ruling planet of Sagittarius. And Pluto had been in Sagittarius since, was it 1994, 95, it moved into Sagittarius. And so it was 2007, it was at the end of Sagittarius. And then in 2008, Pluto ended up moving into Capricorn. And so in a way, it was a culmination of experience where that conjunction began. And in Sagittarius, it was about our philosophy of life. There was an expansion of religion, spirituality, meaning, but also, the negative aspects of a sign we could see in this. And in Sagittarius, it can be fundamentalism. So we saw the rise in fundamentalism. There were other things going on as well that sort of upped that. Uranus's journey through Pisces did a lot for that as well. But so this time we have this, and that was the beginning of that cycle. And we have sort of worked through that cycle now in its entirety. And it was based on the energy of Sagittarius and like bigger, bigger, better, better, bigger, bigger, better, better, right? And of course, anytime you put Pluto with anything, there's power behind it. okay, the power to transform for good and ill. We had an expansion of spirituality, an expansion of the search for meaning, but we also had the expansion into the natural places and disruption and transformation of the natural world, which is um, Sagittarius archetype. And so now here we are, 13 years later, I guess, yep. And we have this conjunction again, but this time it's in Capricorn. And we have three of them. The first one occurs on April 4th, 2020. So that's a 444, incidentally. And this is the chart right here. And I have highlighted, okay, now you can see it. I've highlighted the Pluto Jupiter conjunction. It's occurring at 24 degrees. What is it? 52 minutes, it looks like. I'm reading it backwards, so I apologize if that's not what it says. 24:53. Yes, I was right. Of Capricorn. And so when we round it out, we would say 25 degrees of Capricorn. Now, I look at these charts on many different levels, and we'll go over all three of them on all the levels that I like to look at a chart by. First of all, the conjunction is occurring. Now, um, this chart is erected. I'm sorry, think of the word, erected for Washington D.C. Okay, and I do that because I live in America, and this is sort of the chart of this aspect for America. But you could do this to a natural chart with 0 degrees of Aries to start, and that chart you would be getting the pure sort of energy of the archetype, because this conjunction would be happening in the 10th house. So let's talk about that. Say we're looking at the Aries ascendant or the natural chart. This is happening in the 10th house. So this is an expansion of power, an expansion of Capricorn stuff. Now, Capricorn has been going through a process of transformation because Pluto has been in Capricorn since 2008. So, if this had been at the beginning of Capricorn, this experience and this process would have been very different. But we've had a lot of experience with Pluto and Capricorn now. There's been a lot of things that have been exposed. The exposure of the banking system and large institutions, colleges, university, exposure of the church, exposure of the government, how it works and how it doesn't work, exposure of plutocracy. So we're seeing a lot of things here, and now we start a new 13-year cycle rooted in this more view, perhaps, of Capricorn. So we have to keep that in mind because Capricorn often gets a little bit of a tough rep. Ultimately, Capricorn is about taking responsibility, being responsive, being responsible, realizing that you are 100% responsible for yourself. Now, this will create changes within the power structures of the world, just like the Pluto and the Pluto Jupiter conjunction in Sagittarius changed the spiritual the structure of the spiritual, both the church, different kinds of church. There was the sexual scandal in the Catholic Church, in the Baptist Church, in the any church you can say, any place where there was a where power was sort of not on equal basis, right? Which is very much like that Pluto energy anyway, but in a more sort of like in a spiritual venue. Now we're not necessarily in a spiritual venue, but we're more in a governmental, organizational venue. Okay, so if we look at this from the perspective of the United States, and thank you for indulging me in that. We have actually a Scorpio ascendant. That's very interesting. because Scorpio is ruled by Pluto. And this is what we're talking about. We're talking about the Pluto Jupiter conjunction, right? So this is really a transformational process for the United States. And it has to do with the second house. And the second house has to do with our money and our resources. Incidentally, this conjunction is very close to the Pluto in the United States. In 2022, we will be having a Pluto return in the United States, and there are going to be 3 exact conjunctions of Pluto on Pluto. So we're going through we're going to be going through that transformational process. But let's not jump ahead because there's plenty to do in 2020. Believe me. Okay, so we have this conjunction. And what's interesting about this conjunction is that it is actually conjunct Pallas Athena. Pallas Athena, which is what this is right here, is at, can you see that? Yeah, okay. 26 degrees, so it's just the next degree over of Capricorn. And we also have Saturn very close because, of course, Saturn has been in Capricorn, but has just moved over. This Saturn in Aquarius just happened in March. That happened in March, and I believe it's there until July when it moves back into Capricorn, and then doesn't go back into Aquarius until December. So you look at, because we're dealing with the sign of Capricorn, you want to look at where Saturn is, because Saturn is the ruling planet of Capricorn. Well, in this case, Saturn is in the next sign of Aquarius. Incidentally, Saturn is a ruler of Aquarius. A lot of people talk about Uranus being the ruler of Aquarius. I talk about that very often as well. But Saturn is still, it's the classical ruler of Aquarius, and you do have to sort of look at that. So even though it's not in Capricorn, it's still in a Saturn ruled sign. So this is still very much a Saturnian experience. And whereas Sagittarius was very expansive, Capricorn is very constrictive. And so while this is a process of the growth of something, because we're dealing with Jupiter, the nature of Capricorn is one of perhaps slow growth. So those things are going to be a little bit more things are going to form, but a little slower to form than, say, when it's in an expansive sign like Sagittarius. So that's important. This could indicate some changes in the United States around our finances and our money. There's going to be challenges with money. Whenever Jupiter is in Capricorn, we usually have some sort of downturn, and there's other things going on in the chart that indicate that as well. I mean, in the year of 2020, that indicate that as well. If we add the date for April, which is the 4th month, to the 4th day, and to 2020, which is a 4, we get a 12-3 vibration. And so what I like to do through the perspective of Kabbalah is I like to see where Pisces, because 12-3 is connected to the Hanged Man card, and it's connected to the planet Neptune. So I look to see what Neptune is doing, and if anything's in Pisces, because Neptune is the ruling planet of Pisces. And of course, we have right here, we have Neptune in Pisces, of course, where it's been, and it's actually conjunct Mercury in Pisces. So we have 2 Pisces planets in the 4th house of the United States. So this is the first conjunction. Now we have the second conjunction. Oh, before I get there, let me read 25 degrees of Capricorn from this book, because we can look at that as well. Okay, let's see, where are we here? 25 degrees of Capricorn. It says, a store filled with precious oriental rugs. The keynote is the use of cultural and artistic processes as a means to enhance personal comfort and appreciation. Let's see what it says here. This shows the beautiful products of dedicated and inspired group performance at the level of tradition. So this is, the build the weaving of an oriental rug. I imagine from what he's saying takes more than one person. It's not one person who's weaving, but it takes a whole group of people to weave. But it's woven in a very traditional way, right? So there is this energy of creating something of beauty, and something you can stand on, quite frankly, um, but relying on the traditional methods to do it. And so there is a certain, of course, amount of tradition that we're dealing with when it comes to Capricorn anyway. Despite the fact that Pluto is moving through Capricorn, it's not about throwing the baby out with the bathwater as much as it is letting go of the oppressive things that are preventing us from evolving and growing in the way that we could improve for everybody and everybody involved, including the planet. Because at the end of the day, Capricorn is an earth sign and it's a feminine sign, and it's misunderstood because it's often seen as the captains of industry and all of this other stuff, but it's actually the sign of the redeemer. It's actually the sign of the sage, the spiritual sage. um, and so there's a lot of wisdom in Capricorn, and also a lot of care and concern for the people, because it's within Capricorn that we create the structures so that people can live together with a certain amount of order. Okay. All right. So the second conjunction is occurring on June 30th, 2020, of course. And this is the chart here. And this is also a chart for the United States. And this time we have an Aries ascendant. So we had a Scorpio ascendant the first time and an Aries ascendant this time. What's significant about that is Aries and Scorpio are both Mars ruled signs. Okay. And I'll see where is Mars in this, because that will be significant. Sorry. Okay. So we have Mars right up here at 1 degree of Aries, 18 minutes. And I look at that because the ascendant is it's actually 30 degrees of Aries. Okay. We also have Chiron in Aries. All right, so we can see that combination and that connection. What's interesting about this particular Pluto Jupiter conjunction is that it is occurring um, in the 10th house, and both Pluto and Jupiter are retrograde. And here we have Pallas Athena right next door, and we still have Saturn in Aquarius, but now it's moving retrograde. So it's been in Aquarius, it's been moving forward in Aquarius, and now it moves retrograde in Aquarius. Um, and so it's actually getting a little bit tighter to the Pluto Saturn. And Pallas Athena is social justice. So this isn't just about the increase in the power of the powerful, but there is an energy of social justice attached to it, and an energy of fairness, and an energy of good government. Okay, so that's for us, for us in America, that's, or maybe everywhere, that's actually right. Let's hope. Um, the other thing that's interesting at this time, by the time this happens, we've actually changed. The nodes of the moon have changed. Now the nodes of the moon are the south node in Sag and the north node in Gemini. In that first one, we still had the nodes, the south node in Capricorn and the north node in Cancer. So we've had a nodal shift, which changes the energy a bit as well. All right, so this is occurring at 25 degrees of Capricorn. So it's the same Sabian symbol as the first one. Okay, the same Sabian symbol as the first one. But we also have this happening in the 10th house in America, and that's the house of the president. Um, so we'll see what that means. I'm not prognosticating about anything anymore when it comes to that guy. All right. And then the last one, oops, wrong one. The last one occurs. I didn't talk about the numbers. Sorry, guys. So the numbers on this one, if we add the numbers together, we have June, which is the 6th month, plus 30, which is 36, plus 4, which is a universal year, and we get a 40/4 vibration. The 40/4 is located in Malkuth on the Tree of Life, and it is connected to Pisces. So let's see what's in Pisces. Well, of course, we have Neptune in Pisces because that's going to be there until 2026. But we also have Ceres in Pisces. Ceres in Pisces and Neptune in Pisces in the 11th house. This looks a little bit to me like there could be some sort of um, viral thing. I know that we're in the midst of a viral thing right now, so but um, usually viruses and things like that are Neptune ruled. And with Ceres there, Ceres is the goddess of the mother goddess, but she's also symbolic of the harvest, reaping the harvest. So there could be some reaping of the harvest. And Neptune connects on the tree of life on the path that brings the forces of nature, the energy of the forces of nature down to the planet. And ever since Neptune has been on that path, we've had a lot of tidal waves, earthquake, all kinds of big stuff, big storms and such. So that's one of the other reasons that that's happening. So we could see some issues with that. All right, so let's see. The last one, incidentally, the 40/4 is the path of life for Donald Trump. So he could very well be connected to this particular conjunction. And this is actually happening right after we had a full moon, a new moon solar eclipse at 1 degree of Cancer, which of course is one of the 4 directions, right? It's the beginning of summer and it activates the Aries point. So whenever that happens, big things happen. The last time we had an eclipse of that degree was 2001. Okay, and that was a big change here. So those things are happening. Everything's happening. It's amazing. I could just go on and on and on and on, but I don't want to overwhelm you. All right. I will go on and on, but I'll do it separately so you can take a break in between. All right. And now the last one we're going to have Pluto Jupiter conjunction is occurring on the 12th of November 2020. And here we have it right here. And this one is actually happening at 23 degrees of Capricorn. And it is and we still have um Palace is right there with it. It's just sticking with this. So again, we cannot talk about this Pluto Jupiter conjunction without bringing the issues of social justice in. And of course, we also have Saturn, which is backing up. Is it retrograde? And it's not retrograde anymore. So, but it is at 27 degrees of Capricorn right there. And so this is the first time we've had a Pluto Jupiter conjunction in Capricorn while Saturn was in Capricorn. I think that this could actually be a stabilizing force. There's more of an energy of stabilization here because the ruling planet of Capricorn being in Aquarius, it's much more revolutionary. So I feel like there's big changes in the first two, and then the third one, things start to sort of calm down a little bit. And then at the end of the year, and this will be another thing I talk about, deep dive into something. We're going to have Saturn and Jupiter make a conjunction, and that's going to happen in Aquarius, and that actually happens on the winter solstice. So there's big things happening on the summer solstice, big things happening on the winter solstice. All right. Let's look at 23 degrees of Capricorn. Now, 23 degrees of Capricorn is the same degree of the Pluto-Saturn conjunction. There's a lot of things happening around from like 23 to 25. Those 23, 24, 25, those degrees of Capricorn are getting activated quite prominently. All right. And I'm going to talk about some of that in the astrology of March, because there's a lot of stuff happening in March with Capricorn yet again. February is going to be a little bit of a break, but there's really no such thing as a break. February is going to be a time for us to integrate some stuff. And I'm doing this on February 2nd. 2222, right? 2020. Or 02022020, right? That's a palindrome. Just so much stuff, guys. Like I said, I could go on and on. I'm gonna have a drink after this. Maybe a nice beer. Nice beer. Beer here. All right. 23 of Capricorn, a soldier receiving 2 awards for bravery in combat. The reward offered by society for the fulfillment of individual responsibility. Oh, responsibility. There's that word. Recompense is the word. So, this, of course, to me seems a little bit more on a serious, more of a little bit of a serious note. The actual conjunction in the United States, anyway, occurs in the 9th house, and we also have a Taurus ascendant with this one, which is very nice because Taurus is a nice stabilizing force, except for the fact that Uranus is in Taurus and is pretty close. But we're not going to talk about that. All right. What else do I want to say? And there's Pallas again, and there's Saturn. I think I said that already. And as far as the vibration, if you add November, which is an 11, to the 12th, and to the 2020, we get a 27-9 vibration. And the 27-9 vibration is the Ace of Wands. It's about new beginnings. New beginnings. And it will be after the election in the United States. So we will have a better idea of the next 4 years, at least, by this time. So I expect this to be a very active and tumultuous year. Wherever these conjunctions fall, wherever you have, that range, say 20 to 25, 26, 27, even if you have anything in that range in Capricorn, or where that falls in your chart, this is where these new beginnings are happening. For me, this is happening on my Saturn in my 6th house. So I will probably be very busy. So if you want to be part of my very busy and you would like a reading with me, you can contact me. I have some links below. Comment, like, subscribe, and I will see you again for another chapter of 2020. Have a great day. Bye.